Good afternoon and welcome to everybody. My name is Peteni and I'll just keep track of people as they come on board. Welcome. Yeah, just trying to check for some names in terms of just familiar names that one might be able to pick up. We just attendees. Hi, Bungiwe, welcome. Welcome, Debbie. Welcome, Desmond, Diane, Gavin, Jacques. Welcome to Michael, Neil, Tsako. I see Paul. Welcome. Got Renia, Fuchane, Robin, Smith, Teresa. Cool stuff. Yeah, it is the Team Vitality Comrades workshop, and a very warm, or should I say, a very chilled welcome to everyone. And thanks a million for your time. My name is Peteni Kuzwayo, and I'm the Team Vitality Club Manager. And tonight I've got a fantastic team of panelists that I'll introduce shortly. I'm just an avid runner, headed to Comrades for the 9th time. Don't ask me why. I think with every Comrades runner, you go for the first time and you vow never to go again. And then you start hearing about the back-to-back. It's like, I've got to get my back-to-back. And then you're going for the second time. And then somewhere along the line, yeah, you just keep going back, right? The bug bites you. And so for anyone that's going for the first time, we wish you all of the very best. And we really hope that you'll find a lot of value from tonight's session. And for anyone that's going back again, you know, we also hope that you'll find value from this session. And I think we've got some great panelists that are on. And let me introduce them to you quickly. We've got Wandisile, who's completed 12 Comrades Marathons with 7 silver medals. His personal best is a 6 hour and 39 minutes in 2018 on the down run, and a 7 hours and 5 minutes on the up run in 2017. He achieved his first sub 7 hour Comrades, which was a 6 hour and 50 minutes in 2015. Welcome, Wandisile. We've also got Gordon Brown, who's the Garmin product manager for fitness in Southern Africa. He's responsible for both product planning and product marketing. He's based in Joburg. He's a husband and a recent father. Congrats to yourself, Gord. Yeah, sports and adventure enthusiast who loves outdoors. Yet to take on the commitment of running Comrades, but that's definitely on his bucket list. He believes that sports and fitness has the power to change lives. And he's proud to be a part of a brand like Garmin that supports and motivates people to beat their yesterday. Yeah, that's the hashtag that they run. And obviously to continue to push themselves to achieve what may seem impossible. His notable achievement is raising a German Shepherd.
So if you hear any barking in the background, I apologize.
Yeah, barking and maybe the newborn baby, right?
Exactly.
Cool. Then we've got Shahieda Thungo, aka Maki. She's just crazy about. She's just a crazy working mommy of a teenager and has found purpose in endurance running and pacing. She often leads the sub-finish or cut-off buses at most races. She's led at 2 Oceans and, of course, Comrades, the sub-12, just to name a few. She's done 4 Comrades Marathons, 5 2 Oceans, and she's also completed the Washi 100 miler, which is 160 kilometers. Yeah. She marvels in pain, so she says, and the adrenaline of taking ordinary, not so fast runners like herself to the finish and making their dreams come true. And how fantastic that is, that you don't have to be under pressure to run certain times, you know, and people like Maki do a fantastic job in just encouraging those that are not so fast to be able to complete within the allocated finish times. And then last but definitely not least is Mari Leach. Mari is a registered biokineticist and physical activity advisor for Discovery Vitality. When at her practice, she's helped many runners, from beginner to ultra marathon distance athletes. She's helped them to improve their running efficiency and to lower the risk of injuries. through running form correction, strength training, and rehabilitation exercises. A very warm welcome once again to all the panelists. What an awesome pleasure it is to have you on. And yeah, I think we'll head on to Wandisile and open it up to him for him to kind of, chat us through some fantastic topics that he's got for us. How to train for Comrades throughout winter, what's important to focus on during the first 2 months. Well, look, I think just a bit of context before I hand over to Wandisile. We obviously, as a team, circulated a training program in the first week of June, just kind of focusing on the last 12 weeks. And many of you would have obviously started your training journey. And so that program was literally saying, how do we then just provide support? And I think the idea next year is to come out the starting blocks sooner and pretty much help people start their journey as opposed to coming in at the end. However, there's great value in coming in at the end, especially because it's the very first time that we're having to train during winter, right? It's the very first time that Comrades is hosting an event in August. So the topics that I think Wandisile will cover, albeit the last 12 weeks, I think are fantastic topics. And with that said, over to yourself, Wandisile.
Thank you so much, Peteni, and greetings to all the Team Vitality members who've joined us online and everyone out there. Vitality and non-Vitality, we're really honored to host this webinar provided by Vitality SA. It's not very often that other clubs are doing this, so it's really important for people to take out notes, not only for me, but from all the panelists that are here today. Without wasting much time, as Peteni said, one of the things that I've done is number of comrades. I'm not sure if everyone can see my slide. Can you all see? Cool.
Yeah, we can.
So, perfect. Okay, cool. So just a quick rundown on Comrades specifically, because we're talking about Comrades Marathon. As Peteni has said, that I've got a 6:39 silver medal as my PB in 2018. But notably, on my Comrades journey is that I enjoy down runs. So I'm very happy with the down runs this year. A lot of my best time I actually on the down runs with 7:13, 6:50 and 6:39. The up run being in 2019 and 7:28. So I'm not going to go through all of that. However, everyone can go and have a look. I've done 12 Comrades, all of them back to back, except the times we were in COVID. I think all of us suffered on that. So this year I'll be going for my 13th Comrades, and we'll see how that goes. Okay. So we are currently in mid-June, towards the end of June, and what should we be focusing on? So one of the things that I thought of is that we've got about 9 weeks before Comrades Marathon. It sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, it's about 68 days remaining before Comrades Marathon, and give or take, including rest days, we have about 50 training days. Now that is actually very, very small. I mean, it's about a month and a couple of days. And you know that right about now, to have a month preparing for such a gruesome race might not be enough. But having said that, do not despair. Let's look at what should be focusing on in the remaining days, especially for June and July. One, as Peteni has alluded, we've assumed that you've already done your base training and it's a build up from that. So the program that is being provided by Team Vitality right now is assuming that you've done your base training. So you should be focusing on your speed sessions, basically and your time trials. Now the time trials, why time trials is because a lot of times we do a lot of runs without including the speed, and Comrades, you need a combination of both. And therefore, to supplement that, we need to be doing a lot of long runs, and long runs, primarily because, and I mean, we've had this kind of a question before, why long runs? Long runs, they make our bodies adaptable to anaerobic training, to make sure that we are able to stay longer on the road. And what is a long run? I mean, other people, they are of the opinion that it's about kilometers spent on the road, maybe 30 kilometers and above. Others are on time-based. I am for the time-based. So anything for me more than 2 hours is a long run. And because when you train and your body depletes, you need to replenish it within 2 hours. So if you're gonna go longer than 2 hours, then it means that you need to replenish it more. So that's what makes me to take the long run as more than 2 hours. Now, it's winter, you know, the day is short, and therefore a lot of us are not able to fit in long runs within longer time. So my advice is that we should try and split them between, especially during the week, we should try and have a morning session and afternoon session. You can do an hour in the morning or an hour 30, and then another hour in the afternoon. At least you know that you've done your long run. And also during your weekend, then you can go longer. One of the reasons why you must have a long run over the weekend is because we are trying to make sure that you can be able to be on the road for a very long time without stopping. I mean, that's what Comrades is for. And talking about the long runs, again, one thing that I like to stress is the fact that the only time that you know how you're gonna be for 90 kilometers plus is on Comrades Day. So 60 kilometers, more than 5 hours long run, that's the least that we can do to train our bodies for Comrades. And another topic that we should be focusing on is recovery. A lot of people, especially when we're chasing mileage, because this June and July is high mileage month. A lot of people, they run day in and day out because they are trying to up their mileage. But the mileage without recovery, it's not as beneficial. Amazingly enough, that we do a lot of build up and also more fitter when you do the recovery. And what should we be focusing on when you're doing the recovery? Recovery is through active rest, that is including things like cycling, swimming, or even passive rest, which allow your muscles and your neurological adaptation to take place. That is number one way of doing recovery, being an active rest. The second one is through fueling. And fueling is very, very crucial in both training and non-training days. So during training and non-training days, when you fuel to recover, things like protein that assist in muscle recovery, in muscle repairment, that's what we mean by fueling. And then another type of recovery that we should be looking at is massages, sports massage, things like recovery tools. You know, there's a lot of people that are using either foam rolling, recovery boots, icing. Those are the kind of tools that we could use. And also hydration as well. We should make sure that we're taking enough hydration during our recovery and in training for that matter. Now, considering that it's winter now, things like steam and sauna is very highly recommended as well, which brings me to my next topic, which is training in winter. Now, I mean, it's the first time that we've had Comrades in August. Round about this time, we should be tapering, or we've done Comrades, and we basically waiting for the first Vitality series, which is normally in old airs in August, after Comrades. So it's the first time that we all experiencing winter training. And the things that come into effect, like I mentioned earlier on, is around the training times. So we should try do late morning runs, midday, and early afternoon runs. And the reason why we recommend that is because Comrades is likely to be in autumn, which is likely to be much warmer than we are right now. So in order to get the body adapted to such kind of condition, try and slot your runs late morning, midday, and in the afternoon. Dressing warm is very, very important as well. And make sure that after you do your run, change to dry clothes immediately, because you want to avoid things like catching cold after your run with wet clothes. And as an alternative as well, go to the gym, do a lot of strength training, core training, and that is very important. I mean, a lot of times when I've just ran Comrades, I used to visit a lot, you know, the bios and the physios, and my core was weak. And strange enough, I mean, when I started to do things like core, I mean, there's a program that is provided on YouTube by Vitality SA that people can go and have a look at for their core strength training and other exercises as well that are very important to running. Like I mentioned earlier on, with regards to long runs, we look into how many kilometers, depending on what you want to achieve. So anything from 60 kilometers and above, but if ever you are just a sub finisher, 45 and above kilometers is enough as a long run at one point in time. It's time to test your shoes, your nutrition for a long run. Things like anti-chafing cream, the sunscreens, you know, make sure that you test all of those things before you embark on Comrades, because they make a huge difference on race day. And also pacing, that is where you learn your pacing as Comrades. I mean, I think we've heard it so many times. Comrades is one race that is very difficult unless you're an experienced runner to do a negative split. So start slow and finish strong. You know, test that on your long run and see how your body responds to that. And also, like we mentioned earlier on, you know, it's time to test your running shoes. If for whatever reason you have to get new shoes, try and have at least about 100 kilometers on those shoes before Comrades. If you are forced to have less than that, I'd recommend that you take out the inner sole of the older shoes, put them in the new shoes, and try and running on that. It does, because as you run, your feet, you know, they get adapted to your running shoe, and therefore the inner sole changes the structure as well to conform to your shoes. Like I mentioned earlier on, test your nutrition. When do you need what? You know, there's gels, there's potatoes, there's macheos, you know, there's a whole lot of things that people do during Comrades. Test those things in your long runs as well. One of the most important things, and one of the most important meals in Comrades is your breakfast. And breakfast, it's a lot of people were saying, you know what, it's a sandwich, you know. However, even if it's a sandwich or whatever breakfast that you will have, it's much more recommended to have low GI food. Low GI food is like white bread. Avoid things like all bran because they've got high fiber in them. And also during the long run, make sure that even Comrades for that matter, drink to thirst, because you don't want to over drink or under drink. So drink to thirst, have a sip. And before I finish off, these are the tips that I'd like everyone to take note of for Comrades. One, during your training, be intentional. What do I mean by that? Plan your training. Plan what pace you're going to do during the training, and make sure that you record how even you felt during that training, because it helps you to say, okay, if, for example, today, I did not achieve my pace. Maybe it is because I did not sleep well. And another thing as well about recovery, sleeping. Sleeping is very important during recovery and a week leading up to Comrades. Make sure that you have enough sleep on the week leading up to Comrades, because I tell you right now, you're not going to sleep a day before Comrades. Firstly, the Comrades start in Pietermaritzburg. A lot of people, they normally book in Durban. So that means that you have to wake up very, very early, around 2 o'clock, either to catch a bus or your ride to the start line. And you have to go all the way on foot from Maritzburg to Durban. So you're not going to have enough sleep a day before Comrades. So what you do, try and make sure that during the week leading up to Comrades, get as much sleep as you can. And even during your training, for that matter, try and get your body to recover using, having a lot of sleep. And also be consistent. And that includes strength, your core, your recovery, and even your training program, for that matter. The training program is split, your speed training, your long runs, your steady runs, and it's there for a reason. So make sure that you're consistent when you're doing that, because you cannot, a lot of people, they would miss a run during the week, and they're hoping to make up during the weekend. Let me tell you one thing. If you're missing a speed session during the week, it's unlikely that it will be a speed session during your long run. That is not going to happen. You're going to do the long run in a long run pace. So you would have missed your speed session during the week. And also, speed sessions are not about chasing mileage. It's quality sessions. If it's 1 kilometer or it's 400 meters, try and do that for that particular training session. And if it's a midweek long run, do that, but try and not mix it up, or rather, stop and not do your weekly speed session, hoping that you're going to do that over the weekend, because we are so much under pressure to do, a lot of mileage. And take your immune boosters, things like vitamin C, zinc, magnesium, vitamin D. However, I would recommend that you speak to your healthcare provider to prescribe what are the best multivitamins that one can take as an athlete, because it is very, very important to have your full blood done before you can take any of these, so that they can be, if there's any deficiencies, they can be identified and you can supplement those. Some people, they might not need a lot of vitamin D because they've got enough in their bodies. And also avoid situations, especially right about now, we've said that so many times, both at work, socially, and everywhere else. It is very, very important to avoid situations whereby you might find ourselves be at risk, either to conduct flu, COVID-19 virus, and indoor gatherings. It is very important. One of the things that is very, very frustrating is training so hard for Comrades, putting those times in miles, and not be able to run on the day because of something that we could have avoided in doing. And lastly, decide when to join a bus or not during Comrades. It's much more recommended. They normally say, if, for example, a bus came from behind you, chances are they're going very, very fast because they caught up with you. So just be aware of such kind of dynamics. But Mark is well experienced in driving buses. We've had an Uber in my buses. It was not a bus, it was an Uber. With that said, once again, see you on the road. Reach out to any of the panelists right here, even outside of this webinar. Get some tips, because I think all of us are well experienced in each of our categories. Peteni has been a driver, Maki, we've got Gordon from Sports Watch, we've got the bio, Mary. So reach out to any of them. There is a big wealth of experienced experienced people in the wellness and the running fraternity within Team Vitality. So reach out. And once again, thank you so much. And we welcome any questions that will come through, post them on the Q&A, but I'll hand over to Peteni. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Wandisile. You know, what's really cool about the progress you've made is that you've run a sub 10. You know, your first was a 9:55. Often quick runners, they first run like a silver, and then they get to sub 7 from silver. So you've experienced what it is to actually come in around the 10-hour mark. And I think the tips you've given are fantastic. Thank you so much. They're much appreciated. I see there's 2 hands up, Bongi and Pucha, and it's just a reminder, if you've got any comments or questions, just post them in the Q&A, and we'll try to respond to them as best as we possibly can. And then just a reminder, we had circulated the 12-week program. So for instance, you know, when Wandisile makes reference to some of the elements within the training, remember to download that. There's training paces in there. When he speaks about strength training, you've got some fantastic resources in terms of downloads included in the training program that you can make use of. So now we move on to our second guest. And don't we all love gadgets, right? You know, I think the old school runners used to run on feel. It's like, I don't care what the watch says. Well, I doubt there were watches back then. I run on feel, but I think we've moved quite hastily on and pretty much run based on tech. You know, there's heart rates, there's all sorts of fantastic analysis that you can do when training, when doing runs. And I think at the forefront of that is Garmin. So I'm going to hand over to our next guest. That's Gordon. Over to you, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Peteni. Thank you very much. Wendy, if you can just stop sharing your screen, and then I'll share mine.
Okay, cool. Cool. Let me just do that now.
Yeah, and yeah, just want to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for having me on. You know, it's really great to be able to speak to you about Garmin.
There we go.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
And what's happening, you know, within the brand, and how Garmin can support you in your training and your race. So just let me know if you can see my screen, if it's all okay.
Yep. Good to go. I can see it.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so basically, you know, just a little bit about this and about why Garmin running. And to start off with, you know, performance. It's really, you know, the products and the Forerunner and the Garmin running devices are created by runners for runners. It really is the reason and the heart of the Forerunner collection. Next, motivation. You know, pushing you and guiding you to become your best. You know, we mentioned earlier beat yesterday. You know, that's our hashtag, and we always want you to beat yesterday. Garmin is your reliable training partner. It never rests, even when it recognizes that you need to. We'll go through some of the new insights that Garmin offers, and you'll see why I say when it recognizes when you need to rest. Training suggestions, you know, really training suggestions from entry level runners up to the elite, you know, like you guys, taking on the Comrades, which is an insane accomplishment, and what to do, when to do it, and how well you're doing it. We'll see, I'll go into later a little bit about insight into HRV, which is heart rate variability, stress, training readiness, VO2 max, race predictors, recovery time. It's really all the what, the why, and the when behind the scenes of your body battery. Safety and tracking, run with great peace of mind. You know, you can use live track on our devices to let your friends and family follow you, real-time location, and even view your entire pre-planned course. You know, just really rest assured that safety and tracking is at the heart of Garmin. Personalization, you know, we all know that you can personalize these devices to what you really want, and the Connect IQ opens virtually endless possibilities. And then lastly, the Garmin ecosystem. So, simplicity, it just works. For some of you that are into swimming and cross training, into cycling, we have the Garmin ecosystem that really works really well, and you've got all your information in one place. Okay, what does in 2022, what does that mean for Garmin? It really is the most complete version of the Forerunner and the Garmin running story to date. What we'll focus on today, just some points that I'll run through with all of you, is heart rate variability and how that's really coming to the forefront of behind the scenes of your body battery. Race calendar, which is a new addition to the Garmin devices. Stamina, which is also new. The morning report, which is one of my favorite features of the new devices. Battery life, we all know that's super important, especially when you're taking on the distances and the training that you guys are. We'll run through some top tips for race day. And then I'll just discuss the new Forerunner 255, which we launched a few weeks back. And some of those features, and we've got a video on that as well. Okay, so heart rate variability. So what is heart rate variability? In basic terms, it's basically that your heart does not beat in a perfect regular rhythm. And in fact, beat-to-beat variations in your heart are very healthy and normal. Garmin purchased First Beat, which is an analytics company, in 2020. And now they have this ability to have further insight into HRV. And it basically shows us that each person is unique. The higher variability is the less stress that you're under. So some drivers that affect heart rate variability is your training load, your stress levels, alcohol consumption, and poor sleep. Wandi mentioned, that sleep is so important to your training. So what HRV does is it takes all of these drivers and it gives you a view of your overall health. So it's really a long-term view, not saying that one very extreme training session or a few too many drinks on your day off is going to affect this too much, but it will start shifting after 2 or 3 days, and that will give you an indication that it's time to take action. So heart rate variability is really something that with First Beat, Garmin is looking into quite heavily, and it's really can be the backbone of a lot of drivers that we see on our devices and insights into your training. Okay, something new, which is a really cool feature, is the race calendar. And what this does is you can actually add your races, your marathons, even the Comrades, to your device. And what it will do is you'll receive personalized training and enhanced feedback according to the race that you're building up to. So it automatically builds to the next event. So whether you're targeting a marathon, Comrades Marathon, or even just a park run, it knows this, and it will include training phases, cycles, tapering before the event, because it knows all of that, and it will even give you the weather closer to the time. So some of the things that it looks at when it's doing this personalized training, details of the race, your body battery, again, HRV, and training readiness. It really is a personal training coach on your wrist. What makes this even more impressive is that you can also personalize it by detailing when you want the longer runs to be. So you can say, okay, I need my longer than 2 hour run to be on the weekends, or for those who work from home, on a cheeky Wednesday afternoon. Okay, so another point that's new to the Forerunner collection is stamina. And this is a really cool feature. It's going to be your companion on those long days out. And what it does is it basically gives you a view or insight into your short-term stamina and your long-term stamina. Your short-term stamina will be when you're doing those sprint training and those intervals for your speed training. And that will go down and rebuild the more that you try and recover or you slow down. And your long-term potential, that will show you what you have, how much gas you have in the tank, basically for the entire day. And this will steadily decrease over the course of the workout. So your short-term stamina will recover, but not the long-term, as that indicates your total stamina. So it's quite impressive. It will show you where you can increase, what your potential is, what pace you're running at, and where it feels like, according to your body battery, where you can push a bit further. Okay, and something else that's been added, it's a new feature, is the morning report. Personally, this has actually been one of my favorite functions or features that Garmin have added. It's really the first thing that I look at in the morning. And each day, what Garmin will do is it will suggest a workout for both run or bike. And these are daily suggested workouts. So below, you'll kind of see some screenshots of what you get in the morning. It actually is quite addictive when you wake up. It is really the first thing that you want to see, of your heart rate variability, whether you're in that balanced zone. The next screen will be your sleep. We also mentioned earlier how important your sleep is to your recovery. And it'll tell you a sleep score. Maybe it might say, look, you didn't sleep for long enough, or you did sleep for long enough, but there wasn't enough deep sleep. And it really is quite accurate. The next screenshot there, you'll see today's suggestion. And it'll also tell you where in the training status that you're in. You can also customize this morning report. What I've added to mine is also the weather for the day. So it's completely customizable and very cool information to get first thing in the morning. Okay, so something else that I just wanted to discuss is Garmin battery life. It's something that we're super proud of. We really try and be ahead of our competitors in terms of battery life. And why is battery life important to us? And it is because, wearing your watch at night and in the day gives a complete picture of your health. And heart rate variability, which I've spoken about a lot, is measured at night. So your body battery, your sleep score, and your stress levels will all be monitored at night. And that's why the battery is so important to us. In the new Forerunner 255, which, again, that we launched recently, I can tell you that it has 14 days of battery life if you're using it in smart watch mode, and up to 25 hours in all systems GNSS mode. So more than enough time for you to do the Comrades. So a 25-hour battery life using all the functionality. And I really feel that that this is now the benchmark in battery life. Okay, and then just in terms of top tips, this is really something that we've seen just in terms of a brand and being at the Expo at Comrades. What some people are asking us, on a regular basis. But top tips, to save battery on some of the older devices, remember to switch your Bluetooth off if you're not using a heart rate strap. Replace the battery on your heart rate strap prior to the race and definitely test it on a run. Pair your heart rate monitor to the device when alone the night before. There are so many devices on the day. We do get some people that are panicking, just before the race, just because there's so many devices transmitting Bluetooth signals, it can make it tricky. So just ensure that everything is paired up before the race. Charge your unit, test and change the data fields, on a longer run, what info do you want on the race readily available? Replace the strap if damaged. Come meet us at the Expo. We will be there. We have straps. We have keepers, strap keepers, you know, the little bands that keep your strap together. And, you know, even if you want to come prior to the race, you know, we have a walk-in store at our offices in Rosebank. So if you need any technical help or assistance, you know, please don't hesitate. Visit us at our offices in Rosebank. We'll be more than happy to help you. Okay, so another thing is take auto pause off from your run settings. Rust and dirt on the heart rate monitor. So this is what we do see at the Expo. It can sometimes stop the contact point. So just remember to clean the rust or the dirt off from the contact point so the battery can make good contact. You can use a toothbrush and a small amount of soapy water. Clean the charger point at the back of the watch. Again, ensure good contact. And ensure software updates are done. So, you know, new units you can do from the device via Wi-Fi, or for older units you can use Garmin Express, or again, you know, come and see us, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So another thing is turn off pulse ox. This is a setting on your watch that does drain quite a lot of battery, so just remember to turn that off, and remember to train hard. Okay, so just while I have the opportunity, you know, to speak to all of you, this is our new product. It's the Forerunner 255. It's not entry level, and it's not on an elite level, but this device really packs a punch. It's competing really with our top of the range elite devices. It's a full triathlon watch. And those are the prices for the music and non-music edition. So you've got 6,999 for the non-music and 7,999 for the music. So all of the functionality that we've discussed in this presentation is on the 255. It really is an absolutely incredible product. And if you need any more information, you know, please visit our website. You know, there's a lot of reviews on YouTube on this device. We're very confident and happy with the reviews. So yeah, please have a look. And then that really just brings me to a video just on the 255 and from Garmin, just to show you the product. And yeah, before I show the video, I just want to say thanks again. You know, really, it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you, and I really wish you all luck. And not that you need luck, but you know, have an incredible race, and hopefully I'll see you before the race at the Expo. And be safe, and thanks again for the time.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much, Gordon. Really fantastic presentation. And I really hope that everyone that's on the webinar found great value in it. For those of us that joined us slightly late, a very warm welcome. And yeah, if you've got any questions, you can just post them in the Q&A. Just a reminder that we'll also be sharing the video on social channels, so you're more than welcome to go through it again. You can share it with friends, with other runners. You can go through it again, post this webinar. We've also shared the link to the training program that we had released, a 12-week training program, just kind of leading up to Comrades Day. Up next, though, is multiple Comrades winner, Bruce Fordyce. We'll just go through a video snippet from him. He'll give us pretty much like top 5 tips. So if any one of you are looking to win the Comrades, I think this is when you need to pay attention. And then for the rest of us, he's just going to give us some encouragement and an encouraging message. So, yeah, let's go to that.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fordyce, and it's Comrades time. 12 weeks to go, which means consistency, consistency, consistency. You have to keep grinding out those kilometers, doing that training all the time. And so I thought what I would do is just give a brief idea of a typical week at this very vital time. And I'm going to start off with a Monday, and guess what? Monday is the nicest day because it's a rest day. And you have to always remember that rest is very important in Comrades training. So make Monday your rest day. Tuesdays, try and find a hilly course, something with rolling hills where you can get fitter and test yourself, because of course Comrades has lots of hills, and there are maybe the down run, but there are hills on the down run, big hills on the down run. I love a midweek run that is slightly longer than the normal run. So Wednesdays I always try to run a little bit further than my normal training run. So I would recommend anything from between 12 to 20 kilometers, depending on the time available to you. Thursdays, go out and do something just a little bit faster, maybe a club time trial, maybe something where you run from one lamppost to another, where you're surging, just trying to get a little bit quicker. Fridays, one easy 8 to 10 kilometer run. Saturdays, why don't you go and do a park run? Park run's lots of fun, and when you run a fast park run, you get fitter and fitter because it builds up your cruising speed. And then of course Sundays are those long, slow endurance runs that we need, that are so important for Comrades. So that can be anything from 40 to 60 kilometers. But please don't do 2 long runs, very long runs in consecutive weekends. Do something like a 50 followed by a 30, followed by a 60, followed by a 20, exactly like that for the weeks of the long run. If I'm pushed into the corner and forced to answer the question, what's the least I can do to finish the Comrades? I always like to say, well, I recommend at least 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 weeks, that you run the Comrades distance in 1 week. So that means 90 kilometers in a week. I ran much, much more than that, but of course I was trying to win. But I think if you can get 3 or 4 weeks of about 90 kilometers, you are on your way. Now is the time to experiment. Experiment now with which are your favorite running shoes. What running gear do you like? Which are the shorts that don't chafe you? All those sorts of things. Which cap do you like to wear? Do you enjoy wearing dark glasses when you run, or do they irritate you? All those sorts of things. Now is the time to experiment, so that there is nothing new on race day. Then you have to concede there's a negative. The negative is that between now and Comrades Day, many runners will get injured and they may get sick. What you have to do when that happens is not a disaster. It is not the end of your Comrades. You seek professional help as soon as possible, and you rest. And you make sure you get over the injury or the sickness. If you try and push it, the injury or the sickness wins. But after all, it's all about great fun. And the last bit of fun that is fantastic is the week before Comrades. I always loved that week before Comrades Marathon, because that's the taper week. And I'll give you an idea of what I used to do in my taper. Sunday, 12 Ks, Monday, 10 Ks, Tuesday, 8 Ks, Wednesday, 5 Ks, Thursday, nothing, Friday, nothing, Saturday, nothing, Sunday, 90. And that's the Comrades Marathon. If you stick to those bits of advice that I've given you, I'm sure you'll have a great Comrades.
Great stuff. I think what's important is, those are guidelines. And like I said, unless you're wanting to win, you can follow those to the T. So don't panic if Monday isn't necessarily a rest day. Those are guidelines, just the principles that I think are fantastic from Bruce. We could all follow, regardless of what target we are chasing. And yeah, I think, you know, it does sound ironic, but a part of Comrades should be fun, right? On race day, the adrenaline rush, the fantastic crowd. Think about those guys that wake up at 2 just to watch you run and just to hear your name. So painful as it is, grueling as it is, we keep going back because there is a fun part to it. So thanks to Bruce for that encouragement. Now we get on to a pretty exciting part of tonight's agenda, which is a panel discussion, right? With Wandisile, who's already presented to us, Mari, for those of us that joined us a little bit late, she's the biokineticist and a fitness and physical activity advisor at Discovery. And then, of course, a lot of you would have seen Shahieda Thungo, aka Maki. She is a sub-halala bus driver. She typically gets people over the line that are looking to qualify and finish in just under 12 hours. So I've got a couple of questions for them. And I am going to start out with yourself, Shahieda. All right. So the first question to you is, how do you manage cutoff points as a sub-12 runner, pacer? And how can others manage that? Yeah. Hi, Shahieda.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, and for these difficult questions, can everyone hear me? Okay, pacing sub 12. It's very interesting because it's typically we start at the H seating and we take about 10 minutes to cross the start line. So if you start at H, make sure that you keep moving. Whatever you do, you don't stop. When the bus catches up with you, it's okay. Don't panic, stick to your plan, have a plan in place, and don't put all your eggs in one basket to say the bus is going to get me to the finish. Remember, anything can happen to the bus driver. We also get sick, we are human, and we're also running 90 kilometers. And the guys who are starting in H, you are technically running about a kilometer and a half more than the rest of the field. So your Comrades is longer and your finishing time is slower, is less. So when the gun goes off, please start your watch. Do not start your watch when you cross the start line, because if you're going to time it like that, you are going to miss cutoff points. So when I pace, I make sure I get to all the cutoff points at about 10 minutes before the cutoff. And do not sit down. Whatever you do not change your shoes. Do not try something new. Keep moving. It's an amazing experience. Smile, cry, you're gonna curse, but it's all worth it. That little medal that you get at the end. And remember, people are waiting for you to finish this.
Brilliant. Thank you. I'll come back to yourself, Maki. If you hear awesome Maki, easy Maki, then you know that bus is the one that needs to take you to the end. Mari, welcome. An awesome pleasure to have you here as well. My question to you is the following. So the Comrades training program is already full. How do I incorporate strength training exercises into the program as well? And what should I focus on as a runner?
Great. Yeah. So as a biokineticist, I see a lot of runners who really, I won't say hate the gym, but they're very scared of it, because the feedback I normally get is, where must I fit it in my training? And then if I do strength training, my legs are so tired that I can't do my heel sessions or my speed sessions. So how do you balance it? So my tip to you would be to really look at what is required from a runner's perspective, which muscles needs to be strengthened. And that also depends on the type of event that you're training for. So now let's take Comrades. Areas I would focus on would be your core muscles, and core is not just your six-pack abs, it's any muscle around a joint. It would be your traps, for instance, the shoulders, looking at your postural muscles, all your back extensors, so the muscles on my back, the glutes, the hamstrings, those are the ones that really takes a lot of strain. And you need to, they're also endurance muscles. So it's very important that you incorporate those core exercises every week. So it's important to be consistent. It doesn't mean you need to spend an hour on them. It's rather, even if you do 10 minutes twice a week, but try and be consistent. So we're working on back extensors, because the stronger your postural muscles are, the better you'll be able to maintain your form throughout the run. If you start losing your form, you'll start to slouch forward, which means you start to loading the quads more, and then that can make them cramp or bomb out sooner. Another thing I would look around for strength training is, especially on the downhills, you know, people that sit with a lot of knee pain, is to strengthen the muscles on the inside of your thigh, called the VMO, vastus medialis oblique, so that teardrop muscle. Also looking at that ratio between the quads and the hamstrings. Now that means you're doing exercises like quarter squats. You can do those Bulgarian split squats. So it's like a lunge exercise, and you put your foot on a bench on the back. Those are amazing exercises to strengthen the quads, the inside of the quad, the outside of the quad, the hamstrings, the glutes. It's working on proprioception. It's working the feet. So try and identify exercises that's going to give you the best bang for your buck, where you can target a lot of areas and save you time. So like, for instance, like, don't spend, if you go to gym, all your time on like a leg extension and the hamstring curl machine. I would definitely recommend runners to do hamstring curl exercises, because I find a lot of runners do have weak hamstrings. But my tip to you would be to also look at your rep counts. You know, a lot of runners would start to exercise and they're so scared of doing a heavier weight, they end up doing like a high rep count, like 15 to 20 reps. Now, when you start to do that, your focus is more on like endurance side of strengthening the muscle. You do that when you do your hill training and your sprint training. Rather use the gym to focus on like strength training, and I would keep your rep count between 8, 10, if at max 12 repetitions. And as I said, like, identify if it's twice a week that you can incorporate strength training, which is a combination of leg and upper body work, like focusing on shoulders. Legs, I'll focus on hamstrings, your glutes, and the quads. And then lastly, I will focus on the core, which is all the back extensions, planks, things like that. So front planks, side planks, back planks. If you keep it simple like that, twice a week, that might take you 40 minutes. And you can just vary, like if you do Bulgarian split squats, for instance, one time you can do a walking and lunge the other session. But yeah, it's something that I definitely won't neglect, and you'll definitely feel the benefits. Like, you'll see that you're able to sustain better form much longer into your run.
Great stuff. Thanks, Mari. Shahieda, back to you. I think Wandisile alluded just kind of briefly to this in his presentation, but I think it's such an important thing to reiterate. So here we go. We all know that nerves that we go through in the last week, right? It's crazy. And I think Bruce alluded to that a little bit. I think, what's your advice on getting enough sleep in the week leading to race day? Because I really think we need to reiterate this to all the runners, especially those that are novice athletes.
Okay. So what I typically tell runners is, I mean, you've done all the training, you've had very little sleep, you know, getting up with early mornings, being at the gym late, and you have all your family lives that you actually, it goes around your running. So the week of Comrades, spend time with your family. I mean, you've neglected them for so long, and they're going to be there for you on race day. You know, their nerves will be crackling when they're looking at your the app that freezes at times, that says you are not going to make it. Make sure you stay away from coffee, or cut down on coffee, cut down on oily food, cut down on a lot of sugars. Because one guarantee that I can give you is that the night before Comrades, you're not going to sleep. Saying that you're going to have little sleep is an understatement, especially with the down run. You have to be up early. We are starting in Pietermaritzburg, and generally nerves would actually make you not sleep. So leading up to the day, make sure you get a nap in here wherever you can. Make sure you sleep, get to bed early, and your device, switch it off completely, because that light on your phone, it keeps you up. Stay off the socials, your TikToks and all of that. It hampers your sleep. So on the night before Comrades, make sure that if you can't sleep, well, you won't be able to sleep, get off your feet, stay in bed, keep your legs elevated, and eat early, so that your food can be digested. Guys, do not underestimate the power of food. You really, really, really need to eat. And you'll see you'll sleep better also. And Comrades is a long day. Very, very, very long. It's not a tough race. It's a very long race. That's what I say. Because qualifying.
Yeah, we seem to be losing you there a bit, Shahieda. Hopefully we'll get you back on. So maybe we'll mute you and then I'll just double check if you do come back on. But maybe let me move over to yourself, Wandisile.
It's more difficult. So tell yourself, I'm going.
Okay, maybe can I ask that we mute Shahieda, because yeah, I think we keep losing her a bit. But I think we got the gist of it. She's packed it up with some great nuggets there on what to do in the week leading up to Comrades. Wandisile, over to you. A question that does come up quite often. If you're unable to do a single long run, call it a 60-kilometer, would you advise one to do 2 times 30-kilometer runs over 2 consecutive days, as an example? Or is it absolutely mandatory to get a long run on one particular day?
So Peteni, like I said, I mean, it is highly recommended to have at least a long run in one day. And the reason being that, I kind of mentioned a little bit on my talk earlier, is that the only time that we'll run more than 56 kilometers or 60 kilometers or 70 kilometers is only at Comrades, So to get ourselves mentally ready, our legs ready, at least 1 60-kilometer long run in one go. As I mentioned, because of time constraints, other people, they do it twice a day, morning half and then the afternoon half. With that said, I would recommend, and also here's another thing as well. You need to identify how fast do you recover after a long run as well, because when you do a long run, let's say on a Saturday, Sunday is normally recommended for you, as a rest, and possibly a Monday slight jog, depending on how fast you recover. But you won't know those things if you do 30 kilometers on a Sunday and the 30 kilometers on a Saturday. And also, my last point is, for example, to the way we run, we have so many marathons in South Africa. We can do that at any point in time. So and we're comfortable in a 42. And I can ask you, or rather comment on to the people out there. You must see people when they are running a marathon, and that marathon is over by 100 meters. And you see how much you complain that that run was longer. It was more than a marathon. Now imagine training for Comrades. So that's why it's highly recommended to have at least one long run, 45, an ultra distance long run, at least one.
Brilliant. Joe, Wandisile, I think you were talking to me there. I was guilty of complaining of Omdidam just the other week. It was extra by like 500 meters. I really felt like, was this necessary? So yeah, I think great feedback and tips there. Okay, Mari, back to you. We've come out of COVID. In fact, in many ways, we're probably still in COVID. And obviously there's something that we kind of refer to as long COVID precautions. Any advice you want to share with the runners who have had COVID, and in particular long COVID, that they should look out for to keep them safe and healthy? And perhaps even maybe just a brief, explanation for those that might not necessarily know what long COVID is. And maybe before you go, Marie, I see there's one hand up from Michael. Michael, if you can, please, just if you've got a comment or a question, just post it in the Q&A. Okay, thank you. Mari, over to you.
Sure. So long COVID is basically lingering symptoms that you've had from when you contracted COVID and were sick with COVID that you can't basically get rid of. And it varies from individuals. So some people, it could be that their heart rates are still elevated. Other people, it'd still be like they could now be asthmatic, for instance. Yeah, like I said, some people have got headaches. Some people still have loss of taste and smell. So yeah, the list is quite long with what type of symptoms people can have. But I think what's important for runners, and especially for everyone, you know, going to Comrades on the day, is we should also look at not just focus on COVID on its own, think about infectious diseases, right? So we're trying to put this past us and see COVID as part of like the normal, like your normal flu and like I say, infectious disease. And you need to apply the same principles. When you exercise and when you go into a race and you feel a bit fluey, don't. Okay, you're putting strain on the heart. It's adding a lot of complications to your cardiovascular or respiratory system. So that's the first thing is, and I know it's devastating. You've trained for months to go to Comrades, and now 2 days before you started getting sick. And that's why it's very important to make sure that you boost your immune system through sleeping well, eating well, try and lower down those stress levels, avoiding big crowds. But if you do get sick, rather, I mean, if you've got the self-discipline to run slow and easy and bail out, if you feel like, okay, now I'm not feeling great, and you can monitor your heart rate, you know, you can maybe do that. But my advice would rather be, if your heart rate's elevated, don't even go into it on the day. Don't do those runs. Give yourself time to rest. I would also advise, if you do struggle with long COVID, is to go to your doctor and have a proper ECG done. Also a lung function test to make sure that you don't maybe have, like what I've seen was just some of my clients, for instance, you know, they've now picked up that they became asthmatic after the contracting COVID, for instance. But I'm not saying that's applicable to everyone, but best would be to speak to a doctor, have a proper medical done. And then you've got that peace of mind as well, that, you know, you're not damaging your body. But very important is for everyone is, if you feel any symptoms like a sore throat, especially, I mean, a little bit of congestion in the nose, they say it's fine if you exercise. I wouldn't do any high intensity type of exercise. So I would keep it to a lower intensity. But if it's from the throat down, if you've got any symptoms in your chest or throat, rather stay away from training and just focus on getting healthier and get over that sickness.
Great stuff. Thank you, Mari. Shahieda, back to you. And hopefully your network is back up on. Just give me a heads up. You back? Okay, yep. Great stuff. So obviously, you know, runners get excited at Expo, right? You meet your friends, you get shocked that, even Shahieda made it here. And you could literally forget that you've got to be running the following day. So what are some big do nots, like stuff you absolutely should not be doing at Expo through excitement?
Okay. Firstly, don't go to the Expo every day. You know, choose a day where you go and you pick up your race number. If you can, I would advise that you go on the day that the Expo opens, you know, the first day. Then you can spend the whole day at the Expo and you will still have enough time to rest, because the Expo runs over a couple of days. If you can get someone to collect your race number, even all the better, you know. But if you cannot, then you have to go on the last day of collections. Please be in and out of the Expo. Pick up your stuff. If you can be in the Expo for an hour max or less, it's even the best, you know. The Expo is a hype. Everyone is there. It's a euphoria. You'll feel like a child in a candy shop. You see new shoes. You see nutrition. You know, everyone is selling their moodies there, their potent gels that will make you run faster, run harder. and they'll tell you, no, you have an age seeding. If you take this gel, you can actually win Comrades. No, it ain't gonna happen. If you didn't train for it, it's not gonna happen. So make sure, guys, that you get the Expo in and out. Stay off your feet on the last day if possible, but take it in. It's very nice at the Expo, I'm not going to lie. If you buy anything at the Expo, rather start using it after Comrades, you know, when your new running season kicks in, like your new shoes. Don't wait on Comrades Day. The day is already long. You do not want to have blisters because of new shoes. You don't want to have a runny stomach because you ate some gel or consumed something that you got at the Expo that your body is not accustomed to. So stay away from all of those things. You know, if you have to eat at the Expo, eat and drink what you normally have. Rather actually take a sandwich with you if you know you're going to be at the Expo for long, you know. Even something like a new cap, it can turn your Comrades into a very, very, very long and uncomfortable day. It is already uncomfortable. So you're trying to be as comfortable as you possibly can be for that amount of distance. I mean, our bodies are not made to run 90 kilometers. We are just crazy people here in SA, honestly speaking. Don't know, we suckers for pain. But yeah, be in and out of the Expo, say hi to your friends, get off your feet, get in the euphoria. It's amazing. It's really, really an amazing journey. For the novices, especially, guys, you are going to get excited. Do not let your training go to waste. You only have one first Comrades. That day is unforgettable. It's you have never experienced anything like it in your life. So don't waste it by doing something foolish at the Expo, you know. So take in Comrades Day, greet the people, as I said before, smile, take in the pain, take in the curses, pray, and have fun on the day and have fun on the Expo. That is my 2 cents, you know. And all
Great
the
stuff.
best.
Definitely not 2 cents. Shahieda, thank you so much for those final tips at Expo. And the very last question I'm going to pose is at Wandisile. I mean, Bruce talks about his tapering, and in my head, I'm like, yo, you're still doing like a 20 in the last week. That's not tapering in my world. But I think for the average runner, you know, a common question is, when should I be doing my longest run? And how long before? And long run typically is anything over 21 kilometers. So Wandisile, any final tips on, you know, the last day to be doing anything over 21 kilometers leading up to Comrades?
Hi, Peteni. Yeah, sure. I mean, if we're looking at the Comrades right now, we should be looking our last long run in the first week of August. So the week of the first should be where you're going to have more than 2 hours long run. In fact, from the week of the 25th of July, you should be cutting down from 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, and then a weekend before Comrades, 1 hour easy run on a Sunday. So the first week of August is basically the Saturday or the Sunday there is basically your last weekend for your long run, which is anything more than 3 hours. And then from there, you know, don't panic. I mean, by that time you should be knowing exactly what's your target medal, what's the target pace. You know, as I always mention, a silver medal is between 6:01, in fact, from 6 hours to 7:29. So you've got an hour and a half to play, depending on how well you feel on the day. And the same thing as well, you know, with Robin and Charlie, you know, you've got more than an hour to see how you feel on the day. So by August, beginning of August, everything in your body should be thinking about Comrades, your intended pace, and planning towards that. Don't be carried away and saying, I'm going to make up for the missing long run that I was supposed to do in July. Let me do it now in August. That time is gone. Trust your training.
Great stuff. I think, yeah, those final thoughts, trust your training. You couldn't have said it better, Wandisile. And I guess it brings us to the end of tonight's session. I'd really just like to thank all of the guests, the panelists. Wandisile, much appreciated. Marie, thank you so much. Gordon, thanks a million for hopping on. Shahieda, thank you. Not forgetting the tech guys. I think my closing remarks is, Team Vitality Club members, do join us on the 26th with Bruce Fordyce, where he'll take us through the last final discussions on the route. And then once again, don't forget, you can download the training program. We had shared the link in the chat. And then, of course, we'll be distributing this webinar and sharing it on our social media channels for anyone to go back and just kind of, digest everything that we've shared. I really hope that everyone that's on this webinar has found value in it. We really wish you all of the very best on the 28th of August. And yeah, see you on the road. Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Cheers, bye.